Hello and welcome. It's me, Steph, again, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things I've been up to. So this project is called Building Escape. Um, this is like my tester level, so I've also got another level going on that I'll show you in a sec. I'm gonna try and do like this. I don't want to overload people with stuff, so I'm gonna try and give you a general overview of this project. So I kind of create this little test level with a couple of objects in. And I'm going to show you what happens. So the idea of this game is you press play, we'll wait for the lighting to get a little bit better. Here we go. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to have something where we're locked in a room and we can't get out. So there's no way out. I can't interact with the door or anything. Now here there's a little spotlight. This is just to indicate that we've got a little pressure plate here. So if we stand on the plate, the door opens. There's also a little sound effect as well, which is cool. Now, if we try and like run through the door, we can't make it. So I spent a bit of time trying to mess around with the timing of the door, and I'll talk a bit about that in a little bit. So that's part of the problem. Now, for the player to get out of here, they can actually pick up these objects, which I coded in C++. So we can pick up this big square. Oh God, let's just try and see if we can. There are a few issues with the physics as well, I would say. The physics probably could be slightly better. They're a little bit spinny. There we go. So I've done that and it opens the door. And look, we can escape and yeah, I guess we drop through the building. Cool. Now I am going to show you a slightly more, designed version of this, I guess, in a little bit, where I've spent a bit of time with like more assets and tried my hand at a bit of level design. But what's going on here? Let's have a look. So maybe I'll start with the objects. So the objects we've created basically some code for the objects where we've actually applied, we've added physics to the objects, and we've also applied mass. So here you go, we simulate physics and we've given it a mass of 50, and same with this one, has a mass of 15, and then this thing here is our trigger volume. And basically, trigger volume is something that when an object overlaps on it, it will have an interaction, and it will trigger an event. And in this instance, it will trigger opening the door if there is enough mass on the object. And we've called this object pressure plate. Cool. Now it might be worth us also having a look at the door. So this is our door, and our door. Let's see what we can show you that's useful here. So, I mean, a lot of this I had a bit. It's one of my first goes at texturing and messing around with textures, so it's not the best. But we basically coded a couple of things. We got the door sound, which I'll maybe talk about in a bit, and we got open door. And open door is like, I guess, the functionality behind how how the door is able to interact with other things. Um, so let's have a look at this. It's probably a good place to start. So if we open up VS Code, um, so there's a couple of cool things here. So this is our header file where we contain where we define a lot of our variables and what they do. We can talk a bit about delta time in a bit. It's kind of quite cool. But we created all our functions here. And this is an interesting thing. So we use something called uProperty, which is a really cool feature in Unreal. And uProperty edit anywhere is basically a signifier in your code that basically says that this variable can be changed inside Unreal. So it actually, as you can see, we've got uProperty edit anywhere, and then we've got mass to open doors, we've got open angle, etc. Which is cool because if we click on the door, we can see. So we already clicked on the door actually. Yeah, if we click on the door and we click on open door, which is where our our C++ file is, you can see that these are the parameters that we've assigned uProperty, which is cool. So like a game designer can come in and they can actually edit these values without having to go back to the code, which is a really cool feature in Unreal. Also note that we've kind of applied the pressure plate here. So this is where we're linking the code for our trigger volume, which is over here. We're actually linking to the door in that manner. Okay, I can talk a bit about these in a little bit. So this is just the general code for the door. Here, we set up kind of we find out what the initial yaw of the door is. I guess the yaw of the door initially would be, let's have a look. Yeah, so it's gonna be 0. I don't know if it tells us. Here you go, pitch yaw. There you go, yaw. And we basically just define that so that we can access it later. And we've got various code here that's going to be handling like the process. We've got we run these at the beginning so that these can be found, like the pressure plate, audio component, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to make this video super long, but basically we have code that manages the audio as well. So when the door opens and closes, we've actually created code that will manage that. And we've also created a log to kind of tell the user if we're like missing the audio component, then we actually get some kind of feedback. And we've actually throughout this we've used what's called pointers. Here you go. We use some pointers here actually. A trigger volume, and that's our pressure plate. And we use equals null pointer. That's just to make sure that if the pointer is not found, it doesn't just completely crash the game in an unexpected way. And we do actually, we can get logs back, which is really cool. I'll briefly mention delta time because I thought this was really cool. So delta time, from what I understand, is a way of like delta time is being used to kind of manage the speed that the door opens at. I think if we go to open door, yeah, we're using it here. Yeah, we're using it here with this fmath thing here, and basically delta time, from what I understand, is actually it's not based on frames per second. So some games in the past used to manage things like, let's say, a door opening or the speed of a car, things like that, based on the frame rate, and every tick of a frame. It would actually it would kind of calculate how fast something's moving. But the problem with that, and the reason we use delta time instead, is that if you do things by frames per second, then they're affected differently. So depending on what computer you're on, so let's say you have a really fast computer, that would actually speed up the process of the door opening. It would open faster because you got a faster frame rate. Whereas if you have a really slow, like old computer, then it's going to open much slower. So there are certain games I remember from the past that I used to love, like I think Carmageddon was one, where when you try and play it on PC, like 20 years later, 25 years later, it's actually impossible to play without modding it or editing it, because the car just drives way too fast and it's actually impossible to play. It's probably faster than pod racing in Star Wars with Anakin Skywalker. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. So that's kind of why we use delta time. We've also got some stuff around the audio component. Here we're just doing, if it's not an audio component, return. This is just a way of kind of, I guess, having, not kind of breaking everything, I guess. It's kind of a way to try and kind of tell the user that, look, there's a problem here. And there's some code here around, kind of getting the audio to work. And we had to create separate code for opening and closing the door. And yeah, I think that's kind of a general overview. We've also have code for like how the grabber functions, so how we grab an object, which is actually set up to the right key. Sorry, not the right key, the right mouse button. And this was quite complicated actually because we had to do quite a lot of work around kind of just ensuring that the physics worked. I mean, the physics could be better. Don't get me wrong. There's a few issues with the physics, I feel, but that's something I could work on in the future. And there's a lot of code to this as well. Feel free to have a look at the code on my GitHub. I don't want to kind of. I feel like I've done quite a lot on the code now, so I might move on to the final bit I wanted to show you. So yeah, this is basically, I use this level to kind of develop the mechanics. It's not an exciting level, it doesn't really do much. So then I decided, right, I'm going to try my hand at creating my own little level. And here we have a dungeon that I created. Now, I didn't create any of the assets, I used them from the Unreal Store, they're just some free assets. And this was just a fun little challenge in level design. It's a basic level, it's not complicated, but it was a fun little challenge in level design, and using some of the things that I have done before. So I'll show you this level. You might have to bear with me because, as I've said, the physics probably could be better on the objects, and we might run into a few problems along the way. In fact, let's cheat a little bit. So I'll explain a bit what this level does. This level, the idea is we've got a door here, so we can walk up here, and we've got this door, and we want to get through these double doors, but we need to do something to open them. And there are two items that we can pick up and we can put on some pedestals, and then we open the door. So let's have a look. So I've had a bit of a go at just object placement, trying to make the level look fancy with the assets I've got. There's limitations when you're just using other people's assets, but I can't say I'm the best 3D modeler right now. That's a whole new field of study. So yes, so we have this item here, and we can pick this up, and this is where it might get awkward, like me actually attempting to place these. Yeah, this is where we have a few sticky problems. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Okay, I thought that was going to take a bit longer than it did. And we've also got this statue we can pick up, and we can put them both on the pedestal. And as you can hear, the door sound opens when we get close to doing it. So, oof, there we go. Nice. And here we go. We can get through the door, and that is kind of the end of the level. It was quite a lot of fun because it was fun to play some assets, do a bit of level design. It's actually hilarious, really, when I think about the coding. The C++ coding took me about 20 to 30 hours, and making like an actual level is very small, don't get me wrong, and it's not the best level, but took me sort of 2 or 3 hours and to implement kind of the features I'd already made in code. So I was pretty blown away at the difference in time. Like once you've got the code running, it's a lot easier to kind of just implement and reuse features you've already made, which is really cool. It is what it is. It could definitely be better, but this is kind of more like a little practice project that I wanted to do, and just have a go and learn a bit of the C++, try and develop my understanding of pointers as well, because they were an interesting challenge, and really just see how you can kind of implement these mechanics and kind of get things going. So yeah, thank you for your time and checking out this video. I'm going to be on to my next project soon, which is called, I think it's called Toon Tank. So that's going to be a good laugh. It's hopefully going to be a short project too, so that would be quite interesting to get up and running and start a new project. So thank you for your time, and I will catch you in another video.